Okay, a month ago, a subscriber, and I'll show them to you in a minute, sent me something to do with a saw. Let's hold that thought. So shout out to, I know it's a month, but you know, I've got a lot of stuff I've got on my plate, to the Backstory 22. Backstory 22 sent me this link, and in this link is a video.
All right, Dylan, thank you. Well, I think it's safe
Of a saw blade that flies across the road there and runs into.
to say one man is lucky to be alive this afternoon after narrowly escaping it.
So what you'll notice is a saw blade coming in this path here. There's a saw blade right there. Let's go ahead and press play.
Incident that.
And now you see the saw blade. And there's the saw blade.
Could have been out of a movie. You just saw it. A 4-foot concrete saw came loose at a construction site and went flying towards a nearby building right as the man.
Okay. So what's important about this saw, and we'll break it down real fast for you, is that the center part here, see that little black ring? It's this black ring here. Okay. That's what holds this blade in place. It's like a washer. It's like a giant washer, if you will, and right in the center there is an arbor. That's where you put the nut at to hold this blade on. Blade being steel is about 24 inches center line. All right, that gives you a total of 4 feet. Now, it came flying across, it missed a man that was going in the store. But we look in the center here. I want you to take note that this does not look to be stripped out. It's not ripped. It's not defective. All right, the saw blade's not defective. But what happened is the operator, it's the only way it can happen for the saw blade to do that. The operator didn't have the guard down on this thing. All right, there's a guard that goes down on this. There's a little door here, and this swings up, hinges here, so you can get the blade in just by swinging this section up here. Get a new blade in, or transport it without a blade. I've seen guys transport them with the blades on many times.
Walked in. I mean, just look at the size of this thing. KEZI 9 News reporter Aaron Ariano shows us the terrifying moments caught on camera.
It happened right here at Quick Trip Neighborhood Market. A 4-foot concrete saw came flying down this parking lot and landing right here, just inches from the door, seconds after somebody had just walked in.
I mean, obviously it wasn't my time, but
not seconds.
It's probably the closest I've ever experienced it.
Shane Remke is still shaking just thinking about how he narrowly escaped death on Thursday after a 4-foot concrete saw blade came flying from a nearby construction site, slamming into the wall of this liquor store just seconds after Remke had just walked in.
So I was walking into the store.
All right, so you've got that. Now, we'll go back to the machine now. Oh, wait a minute. Let's hear him say
Door here. I put my handle on the door, and I heard a loud bang and yelling over here at the corner. Just as a cloud of smoke pops up, and I see a guy fall into the ditch, and a 4-foot blade hurling at me as I'm walking through the doorway.
A traffic contractor who witnessed the incident says.
So now they have the guys out there supposed to be saw cutting, right? Saw cutting the asphalt, curb, whatever it may be. But they had that excessive machine out there. It's pretty much a beast to do all that. This is actually supposed to be a vacuum.
A loose bolt and possible operator error may have caused.
So I researched the companies, and yeah, they own this type of saw. And
the giant saw blade to come loose and spin away at high speeds.
Here we go. Listen to what he said.
Error may have caused the contractor who witnessed the incident says a loose bolt and possible operator error may.
A loose bolt and possible operator error. Listen.
Have caused the giant saw blade to come loose and spin away at high speeds.
All right. So it's definitely the operator's fault for not keeping the damn thing together. But let's show you what I mean. So here's the black part I told you about when you saw it. It's the black part right there. That's not with us, right? And the bolt's not with us. If you look right behind there a little bit, you would see there's a bolt that would. Let me move a little bit more closer. There we go. A little more close. All right, I said phytosteroids in an earlier phone. Phytosterols. I should say steroids. I don't know why I said that in the onion video. Just see, guys, if anybody caught that. Hey, it's where my brain screws up sometimes. So this is that black part that you've seen there. It's not. Cannot get away. All right, this can't happen. If it had been a defective saw blade, if it did rip, I've never seen one fracture ever. Not once ever seen one of these split apart or even shear the bolt there. All right, never seen it once. It works by clamp force. You tighten up, you pull open this door here, right? You see the little door, this little door here. You open it up. You make sure that bolt there is snug, or you reach under there with a wrench to make sure it's snug. And you know that when you turn the blade, you first spin the blade, dry spin it. As it's in the air like that, you can grab it and spin it. And if it spins and this is loose, it will just spin differently. It won't turn the arbor. You'll see it turn this. But you tighten that up. You don't necessarily torque it down. Nobody does. I know it's probably got a torque rating on it, but nobody does that. You just tighten it up real good. Even if, and it's the way the screw works, if this thing rotates clockwise, right? Clockwise. So the screw works is not, you're not going to loosen it up. When it's running, it's not going to back the screw out. It only tightens the screw the way the screw works, as far as, the opposite, the torque that's created from this rotation actually tightens it. Would be a tightening effect on the bolt, not a loosening effect. It wouldn't happen. It's never happened unless your bolt is, not there. So this thing came flying across. So what happened? You needed a few things to happen. First off, you need this shield. Let me do this. There's that hinge I told you about, right about there. There's the hinge. You got to undo these two because this locks this shield down. You close the hinge and do that. And it might be another. This one looks like it might even have another pin that would come across. Maybe not, but this would be the other thing to keep the shield down, because the shield would vibrate. If you don't lock this down, the shield bounces. It bounces along. The vibration in the machine makes the shield bounce, and it's a pain in the ass. So you secure it by securing it as it's ready to be operated. You can see this is not a cheap machine. So the used machine's about 15 grand, 20 grand. So this, even if you had this loose, the nut, which you had to have loose. It had to not be on there. It had to vibrate it loose during transportation, and they just started firing it up, and barely on there. It had to be barely on there for that. All right? The shearing of the bolt would have to take place, and it just doesn't take place. Now, the bolt, the steel, it's because the bolt is this thing just can't cut the bolt. All right, it just doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. It locks in this 4-foot wheel locks in there. This cutting blade, but it can't run away. Even if it broke free, if this bolt sheared, it still hits the shield and would bounce around, would come to a stop. It didn't cut through this. It wouldn't spin at that great speed. Let's say, and run through that metal, because that metal's pretty thick, incidentally. It's probably got a lot of asphalt and shit like that on it too, from with the water backing up on it and the debris on it. So it would not go cut through it. It would tap out first. So he fired this up with this shield. This is what I theorized, with the shield up, or the shield not on it. They could have broken the shield. Frankly, they break these shields a lot. People do. They could have broken the shield. But the shield was not in place. This is what's going on here. The shield was not in place, and it could have killed somebody for their lack of professionalism. So it's simple as that. When you see that thing come flying across there, that this had to be open. This section here had to be off. I'm not saying it's Husqvarna. I don't know which equipment exactly they have. I did look on the website, but it doesn't prove any. It's the same thing that was in the field that day. So they had to have that shield up. They had to have this off, one of them loose, one of them off. Just this one side, or this side, doesn't matter. It would still allow you to flip the shield up. And there's your hinge. Now this could be broken also. Like I said, you transport these things in I've seen them with the shield operated up quite a few times, and I'm like, yeah, that's dangerous, but well, I'm not in front of it. Now you see why you don't want to be in front of it. So now one more time, let's watch this thing come flying across the parking lot.
Barely escaping an incident.
And there she goes. You can take note of the workers, how quickly they run over, and try to make sure everybody's safe over here. I'm shitting you, they don't.
That could have been out of a movie. You just saw it. A 4-foot concrete saw came loose at a construction site and went flying towards a nearby building.
Sorry about that. I pressed the wrong forward button there. So now there's your black right here, right? This is that black ring I told you about that's over there, the secure the plate, right? Your giant washer, if you your washer, and then there's your bolt, if you can visualize that. And that's the arbor. The arbor is just center, and it's not shear. There's nothing tearing it or anything else. Don't think that's anything. It's probably just a pricing label when they purchased it. But they went down. The use of this blade typically stopped right about here. This is the use of this blade. As you can see it all the way around. This part is more like the newer part of the blade that hasn't been cycled. Now the other thing, there's a bolt that goes through here, right? So there's a bolt that would have to be sheared or vibrated off. But remember, I said that it actually tightens as it spins. So there's more than just the shield being up. This had to be practically falling off. The problem with that is this bolt here almost wants to hit the shield when you go to take this off. It's pretty without that other plate, without the other plate that you saw like that, you can't get that bolt out. So this had to be up, and it was so obvious that this was loose. It was so obvious. This didn't shear it off. Again, if it did shear it off, it would still hit the guard and not go anywhere. So there had to be the guard up. This magically, for the first time, I've never seen it happen, sheared off this bolt, and then went flying across the parking lot. That this thin steel, even though it looks a hell of a thing there, that it created a shear, it rotated and spun and sheared through that bolt. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. All right, hanging up the video. Simple that the guy, the operator, they didn't give a shit. This is the type of work that's out here sometimes. And they didn't come running over to lend assistant, as you saw. And you got to look out for these job sites, guys. Pay attention. So this thing didn't have its shield on. And I guess I should lower that down to here. Didn't have its shield on. And it was able to just come flying across it, flying from itself after it was spun up. This thing did start. It was running. He touched down on the asphalt. When he touched down on the asphalt, this thing came rolling at high speed. He touched down the asphalt, came flying across the asphalt. How do I know? Well, let me, I'm sorry, guys, it's not end the video. So I have to show you a profile of that real quick. So this is the saw. Let's put the asphalt. Let's change the color then. Let's put the asphalt that he was cutting into the asphalt. And he was there. Okay? So there's the blade, the radius of the blade. All right, now you can visualize it through the asphalt. And it's already in there. He's cutting. You see what happens now if it's in a hole and it's cutting forward like this. There's more asphalt here, and this is all concrete and asphalt, depending how the street pavement is. If it was already in the ground, it would climb up. It would have to climb up, and now its trajectory changes. It doesn't start rolling across the sidewalk. It goes climbing, flying into the air. All right, it climbs out and wants to climb and keep going into the air. On the other hand, if he was, here we go, back to this. Here's our wheel. Let me back that out, get a little more wheel action. So there's our asphalt down there, actually. That's pretty good. So now we're rolling. Here's the asphalt here when he touches down on the ground before he starts to cut. And now that guard is open. It now has a rotation that way, right? Clockwise from this direction. This is counterclockwise. It's still spinning clockwise. So from the other direction. So now it goes in that direction. And we can see it ride directly on the ground. It didn't go flying into the air as if it climbed out of the hole. It didn't climb out. It went that direction. Now, if anybody knows when you're using a machine like this, if they do get in a hole, they get bouncy. They can get bouncy if you hit something very hard, but this machine's got so much power. It doesn't bounce that much. It's not like a smaller machine that might bounce. It doesn't bounce that much at all. It just cuts through the shit. So, I mean, if it's some steel, yeah, but I looked at these teeth. All right, I looked at the teeth. I tried to find something that would indicate that these teeth are broke off, that it grabbed something. I don't see anything of that nature. All right, now I'll almost end the video by showing you this. See it on the top of the blade? It's the asphalt that it was last racing across the ground with. And we don't see it down here. You see concrete on this side. You see concrete there. We see concrete here, but this is the asphalt, the touchdown part right there. And we don't see it here. So we can see that it touched down, grabbed the asphalt, and that's when it went flying away. See, none of there yet. Nothing black here yet. Nothing black there yet. The converse of that, it's a concrete road they were cutting. And the last time they used a saw, they used asphalt. They cut asphalt. And this time when they touched down, they touched down on concrete and what we're looking at. Except for, I've already looked at the video and that street, and it's asphalt that they were cutting through. Not, as you can see in the background, it's not concrete street. I'm just giving you as a letting you know the option. But there is the asphalt. Asphalt. All right. Take care, guys. And thanks for the cat support.